Hello and welcome to The Big Fight, a show that is young at 23, the oldest running debate show on Indian news television. I'm Sanket Upadhyay. You see, over the past few weeks, one thing which had started off as something which was extremely surprising, that the parliament is not functioning and the treasury benches are responsible for it because they want Rahul Gandhi to apologize for his utterances abroad, has now become passé. That's a very little part of the public discourse or political discourse. The bigger discussion then became Rahul Gandhi's disqualification. First his conviction in an old case and then his subsequent disqualification. And now an even bigger issue of public discourse, even that is passé by the way, an even bigger issue of public discourse is how each political party is choosing to treat this particular issue. As the BJP likes to call it, Aapda mein Avsar. But has this crisis created a window of opportunity for the opposition and not the BJP? The BJP is now asking the Congress, why aren't you going in appeal against this decision? The Congress says, we'll exercise our right when we have to. And all different political formations are now happening. All those parties in the opposition that were seen disliking the Congress, disapproving of the Congress, now seem to be in alignment. While one question can be, for how long? The other question can be, very, very significantly, will all of this be put to test in an upcoming important state assembly election of Karnataka? So on The Big Fight tonight, on test, BJP's clout versus opposition unity. Has Karnataka become more than just a state assembly election? I would like to introduce our guest, Ms. Aarti Jairath, senior journalist in the studio with me, Professor Geeta Bhatt, political analyst in the studio with me, Mr. Madhavan Narayanan, senior journalist, thank you very much for joining us, Tushar Gupta, senior editor of Swaraj, Captain Ganesh Karnik, spokesperson of the BJP, M. Nagaraju Yadav, MLC and spokesperson of the Congress Party, and T. M. Veera Raghav, executive editor of BQ Prime. On this show, we have a very simple format so that none of you accuse me later of not allowing you time. Everybody gets 1 minute time for their opening comments and then we kickstart what we call the big fight. The politest big fight that exists on Indian television. Aarti Jairath, we would like to begin with you first. Your time starts now.
Okay, well, I think that we sitting in Delhi would like to see the Karnataka elections as, kind of the pivot being what's happening in national politics. But I think in Karnataka, people are very clear. They are going to vote on local issues. And we have seen this in Karnataka again and again. We saw it in 1999 when simultaneous assembly and Lok Sabha polls were held. We saw it in 1989 when simultaneous assembly and Lok Sabha polls were held. Both times the people of Karnataka voted differently for assembly and voted differently for Lok Sabha. So I think the people are very clear that the elections, assembly elections are on local issues. And they will vote accordingly no matter what spin, the Congress and the BJP may like to give it. They are national parties, so naturally they would like to bring in national issues. But I think as far as the people are concerned, it's going to be purely based on local issues.
Okay, interesting. Professor Bhatt.
Well, Sanketji, Karnataka election, definitely local issues are going to gain importance. And in that case, we have seen the development of the state and all the various infrastructure projects in which center has been, very forthcoming. It's been almost 16,000 crore worth of projects have been initiated by the Prime Minister. There is a express highway, there is a Vande Bharat train that has already started. So all these development issues are definitely going to matter, and along with it, there will be cultural issues also, social issues also, which will have their impact. But nevertheless, we cannot say that the national issues, they are going to be absolutely not going any mark on the Karnataka election, because definitely the way Congress party and Rahul Gandhi's disqualification, how they are playing around it, and the other opposition parties, how they are trying to look at an opportunity into it, is going to be a spoiled sport in Karnataka elections.
Okay. Madhavan Narayan.
Well, I think Karnataka is not really a bellwether state for all of India, but it's very significant for 2-3 reasons. First, we will find out if BJP is truly a national party as it's claiming to be or has been projected under Mr. Modi, because BJP is nowhere in power in the southern part of India except in Karnataka. So losing Karnataka will be symbolically a very big loss for Mr. Modi. Also, local issues and development issues do matter, and the way the caste politics is playing out under BJP's, political strategy, it would make us seem that it's not so much the Modi factor or Hindutva, but good old Indian social coalition building that is working. And so to that extent, both Mr. Modi's charisma or leadership as well as the Hindutva plank will be seriously put to test. Last but not least, we are going to be watching if there is such a thing called Modi fatigue. Because 10 years in power, even the best of leaders in electoral democracies do suffer fatigue from the point of view of voters. And the numbers in Karnataka will show whether BJP will actually have that kind of magnificent hold that his party projects Mr. Modi to be.
Okay. Veera Raghav, your opening comments.
Very quickly, 3 points here, Sanket. One, Karnataka the voter is an extremely discerning voter, and you see the vote shares in the past, and that will tell you the story. JDS, for instance, as a party, gets about 19% vote share consistently in the last 2 assembly elections, with about 37 assembly constituencies. When it comes to parliamentary elections, the JDS vote share drops below 10%. They end up getting 1 or 2 seats only. So the voter is very discerning. When it comes to a state election, they vote on their regional, sub-regional, caste, social arithmetic lines. When it comes to a national election, the BJP gets more than a 50% vote share. They sweep up to 25 seats in a parliamentary election, but can't cross the 112 mark in a state assembly election yet. So that's point number one, that please don't take this assembly election as a reflection of the Karnataka voter itself in a national election. A. B, you were talking about opposition unity. You see, in Karnataka, the Congress and JDS are at loggerheads in the old Mysore region or in that heartland of the Vokkaliga vote, which is Mandya, Hassan and Mysore. In other parts, it's the Congress versus BJP. This is also the case, if I can broaden it, to other southern states as well. Where the Congress has a presence, it's fighting the regional party. So how does that unity come about? For instance, in a state like Telangana, where you have the BRS, the Congress would be one of those principal parties which is opposing it. How does that work out? In an Andhra Pradesh, you have Jagan Mohan Reddy in charge, and the Congress is a non-existent player at the moment in that state. So given these factors, I don't think Karnataka can be a bellwether test for whether this is a clout contest between the Narendra Modi government and BJP and opposition unity.
Okay.
At a grassroots.
Why? See, we're gonna put that to a debate. While that is an assessment on the ground, it seems that politically an attempt to that effect is definitely being made. The assessment that Professor Bhatt just made, that obviously it will have some bearing on the result. Let's quickly get in more views. Tushar Gupta, senior editor of Swaraj, your opening comments.
Look, just to continue where the previous speaker left from, in 2018, BJP's vote share was a little above 36%. In 2019, you saw a counter consolidation and it sprung over 51%. Now, BJP really needs to do very badly for that 51% vote share to come down to 30-35%, which will leave them at 70 to 80 seats. But more importantly, this looks like a three-way contest. The Congress and the JDS are not willing to get along. Even until the last state assembly election results were announced, there was no alliance in place. So where does a three-way contest leave the swing voter? What are they thinking? Are they prioritizing double engine ki sarkar? Are they prioritizing local issues? Having said that, while this election may not be a testament to how the national elections in 24 may play out, it would also reflect how Congress is willing to do in states where they have an opportunity. Last year, they were expected to score big in Uttarakhand and Goa. They failed. This year, they're expected to score well in Karnataka. Will they do it? Let's see. But if BJP even loses the state, they'll still make a comeback. For Congress, winning the state or at least scoring well is important ahead of the national elections 2024.
Okay. Captain Ganesh Karthik and Mr. Yadav, one by one. First, Captain Karnik, your opening comments.
Well, thank you, Mr. Sanket, and my critics and best wishes to all the co-panelists. I respectfully gather the information given by all the senior journalists, and it's a big input for me and to my party, and thank them for that. See, in Karnataka, we are ahead as far as the campaign is concerned. During the past 3 months, Honorable Prime Minister has gone around the entire state during his 8 or 9 trips to Karnataka state, and he has communicated with people, and people have accepted him wholeheartedly. The kind of response that we got for my Prime Minister's visit is, unprecedented. The second part is, in preparation to the ensuing elections, the party has done 3-4 different kinds of rallies in all parts of the state. So even for that rally, including the last one, Vijay Sankalp Yatra, we have had received wonderful response from people. The third point is, in 2008 and 2018, the Karnataka electorate did not give us a simple majority. And what happened after that, the people have realized. Today, the people of Karnataka have made up their mind to see that in Karnataka, for the first time, BJP comes to power with a simple majority.
Okay. M. Nagaraju Yadav, 1 minute time is up. I'm going to come back to you. M. Nagaraju Yadav, your opening comments.
Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity, Mr. Sanket. Now the issue has been raised by the BJP spokesperson, other things also have been heard by me. Only thing I'll tell you, Karnataka is completely, we are aware, since 1985, till then, from there till today, no ruling party has come back to power. Ramakrishna Hegde was the last person to come back to power, being as a sitting chief minister. That's one part. The second part is this, that Modi versus the local leaders of Karnataka. Today, BJP has got no local leaders with them at all. Today, we have a strong leaders like D.K. Shivakumar, Siddaramaiah, Mallikarjun Kharge, and the highest leaders of gallery of leaders are there available in Karnataka state, and BJP is not able to go up to the speed what we are campaigning today. And the 40% Sarkar, which has been the Willingham Sarkar, they have failed completely in implementing the project as they promised in the previous election. And also we know it very well. Till today, from the time of independence till today, the BJP has not come back to power with a single party majority with 113 seats at all. They tried to fabricate the mandate by getting an Operation Lotus in place and forming the government. The people of Karnataka is well aware. They will not entertain the people who are involved in the corruption, whether it's the PSA scam, whether lecturers appointment scam, whether it is a Santosh Patil's suicidal case or X number of cases what they are facing today. The people of Karnataka is going to punish them, and definitely they'll be out of power.
I'm going to come back to you, Mr. Yadav. But Veera, you see an attempt. You said that obviously local issues, the own dynamics of Karnataka are going to be at play. The various regions vote differently. Their voting pattern in Lok Sabha are different from voting pattern in Vidhan Sabha. All of that is understood. That happens in other states as well. But the attempt being made to nationalize every election, and we know that this is a reality, it happens. Every local, we have seen national issues being raised in municipal elections. Even that is a reality. So given that context and the fact that some amount of national issues will spill into Karnataka election campaigning also, do you then feel that there will be an impact, or there will be zero impact on the ground?
Well, I think as far as the BJP is concerned, Sanket, it's a given that the Prime Minister is the biggest face. And in fact, in Karnataka, they would like to distance as much as possible from the state leadership to avoid anti-incumbency. And it's on the Prime Minister's face and the narrative that they would like to push forward. Well, you're right in the sense that there is an attempt being made to turn it. There will be a national implication in the sense that if the Congress gets a boost in this election, how they will play out at a national level will be interesting to watch. For the BJP, it would also be important nationally as a state, as one of the panelists pointed out, about holding that southern state, the only southern state that they have. So you're right. The attempt will be there to take a national takeaway. But I think the more important thing when you talk of opposition unity, Sanket, is, are you looking at creating an opposition, or are you looking at individual benefits for the Congress or each regional party? I think often the problem is that if the Congress has to survive by itself, it needs to do so at the cost of the regional parties as well as that of the Bharatiya Janata Party. And that's what results in a conflict at the grassroots.
Okay. Aarti Jairat and then Mr. Narayanan, one by one.
You know, Sanket, look, we are talking about a state election, and I think we should be very clear that this is a state election. And, you know, although increasingly we are finding in other states that people do make a distinction, Karnataka is one of the first states where this distinction was made. You know, the voter there is very discerning. They really do make a distinction between what is a state assembly election and a local, a national election. So, you know, questions like opposition unity and Rahul Gandhi's disqualification may have some kind of emotive appeal, because I think in the states, in the South in particular, there is still some emotional connect with the Gandhi family. Not true in the North, but in the South it's still there. So, you know, I mean, Rahul Gandhi's disqualification may play out in a positive way for the Congress, but at the end of the day, I think what people will really look at is the governance of the last 5 years. And I'm afraid it's not been governance, it's been misgovernance. Particularly after this whole leadership crisis in the BJP, when they removed Yediyurappa, they put in a very ineffective chief minister. You know, then they've been making very foolish mistakes. Like, you know, that whole thing of removing Muslims, you know, from the reservation quota, and, you know, trying to divide it between the Lingayats and Vocaligas. It's backfired, because neither the Lingayats are happy nor the Vocaligas are happy. The BJP has been too closely identified with the Lingayat community to actually make a breakthrough with the Vocaliga community. And for some strange reason, although the BJP has got
which is why it
it's
works
gripped
in their
really
interest
well, you know, on the caste matrix in the North. For some reason, they've not been able to crack the caste matrix in
And it's
the
not
South.
like caste does not exist in the South.
Absolutely.
It
In
exists, and how?
Karnataka, it does very, very much. But it's not been able to get that grip on the caste matrix, you know. So therefore, it has been, you know, sort of basically dependent on two things.
by the
One
way,
is the Lingayat
yeah.
vote, the other is Hindu-Muslim polarization.
This point that you're making, caste and its play and how the BJP handles it in the South, they've cracked it, aced it in the North, will be put to test in another South Indian state later this year, that is Telangana, where again the BJP is very hopeful that they will make some inroads. Yes.
Let me pick up from there, Sanket, because the first one, I'm glad that Aarti brought up the Lingayat versus Vocaliga issue, because I was surprised that we were discussing Karnataka 15 minutes without mentioning either of the two.
We didn't mention this.
Yeah,
like
but
in Gujarat, you talk about Kedua Patel and Leua Patel.
Yeah, exactly. But
in
the interesting
Karnataka,
thing
you
to
talk
note
this.
is that in the South in general, in Karnataka and Telangana and Tamil Nadu in particular, caste is not just about a certain category of society. It's also about upward social mobility by highly educated and ambitious people who are looking for a bigger piece of the cake. So they're very aware. They are not vote banks in the traditional sense of the term. So BJP has cast its loss by and large with Lingayats, but that tends to polarize the others. I would like to also bring in focus a subterranean issue in Karnataka, which is I use a lot of game theory in my analyzing politics.
Sure.
So the Vocaligas, who are actually represented by D.K. Shivakumar in Karnataka Congress, and know very well that their best case scenario, and by extension JDS, which is dominated by Vocaligas, their best case scenario is to be part of a coalition government either way, whether it's Congress. So there might be a lot of, pre-election informal arrangements in a perceived three-way contests, so that they want to have that winner's card in the post-election scenario, or being the kingmaker, if not the king, in some way. So I would look forward to some kind of ground level reports on these things happening. Sure. The other interesting thing is that farmers in general are Vocaligas. So, the BJP's farm policies have not been very progressive. They've had egg on their face with the farm bill. So that might go against the BJP. That's another factor.
Let me also touch upon another crucial aspect, Mr. Tushar Gupta, and that is how many senior leaders, one after the other, have shed the pretension also of appearing to be, not being seen as directly talking about it, but very, very directly talking about it. And that is the issue of polarization. Do you think that this is a clear-cut sign of nervousness, political nervousness, that you have to keep going back to statements where you say, forget about smaller issues, concentrate on this? This is the birthplace of the entire hijab controversy. And I remember when it was playing out, the UP elections were on, and you'll be surprised to know that whatever was happening in Karnataka with effect to Azan, hijab, was being very closely consumed in Uttar Pradesh as well.
Oh, that's
So it transcends state boundaries, the narratives.
Well, in the age of internet, everything transcends every boundary, Sanket. But you're absolutely right. There is going to be some hint of, discussion around polarization in this election. But given where both parties are focusing right now, so
Captain Karnik, let me come to you now. Is this a very a sort of a safe sanctuary for the BJP to very conveniently bring up issues which you know are emotive? And they have not necessarily worked in your favor, by the way. All the time.
I totally agree with my friend from the Swaraj. What is going to be the issue raised by Congress? And BJP will definitely handle it head on. And be it hijab, be it Rahul Gandhi's disqualification issue or whatever it is, there is always two sides. They say he has been, cornered. But actually, it is the same legislation passed by their own government long ago. If they're going to make an issue, that means they don't have any other issue. In Karnataka, if they're going to talk to people about, what happened in the disqualification issue, that means they have no issue. And we will handle it head on, definitely. And hijab has settled down. If they want to wake it up, I have no problem. We will definitely confront it. So Karnataka electorate is a mature electorate, and they will understand what are the issues concerning the state, what are the national issues.
I'll tell you why I ask you this question. Only yesterday there was this huge political debate in Karnataka, only this Thursday, where we saw a huge fight over revamping a Ram temple in Karnataka, where the BJP said that if we want to revive and reconstruct this temple, what is wrong? And all those who are opposing are anti-Ram. They don't want a Ram temple.
So which temple you are referring to?
In Karnataka.
So which temple?
Pardon my ignorance, I don't know the exact, maybe Veera can help me.
The one that was announced by the state government to be built in Mandya, in the Mysore Mandya, old Mysore region, the promise that was made.
Yeah, it's a very old temple in Ramnagar. They are trying to build a Ram Mandir. What is wrong with that?
No, that's the point. So the discourse always manages to, cling on to,
religion.
move towards religion.
I think Mr. Modi knows whether he's trying to hedge his bets by bringing.
There was an old temple.
I'll tell you what, Sanket.
And that old temple is being rebuilt. What is wrong in that?
Okay,
It is not
Veera
wrong.
Raghav wants to come in and then Professor Bhatt. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry to jump in, but I just quickly tell you, I think the BJP would love to create the polarization narrative because that's the only way they see themselves moving away from the social coalitions and the arithmetic that exists, which is keeping them below 112 seats in an assembly election. But I think the problem they face is that they don't have a leader. Partly, my assessment would be partly.
Oh dear, we'll come back to Veera Raghav. We just lost that connection, but Professor Bhatt, you wanted to come.
Yeah, Sanketji, I just wanted to add to this was, if you remember the last Karnataka election, it was the Congress party which, very tacit manner, had an understanding with SDPI, which is the political wing of the banned Popular Front of India. And it is, on record by the State Secretary of SDPI of Karnataka, who said that last time, in a way, we were duped by the Congress by, taking that we should not contest the election. And they did not contest the election on a large number of seats. So ultimately, it is which party which is trying to, gain from doing appeasement of Muslims. That also needs to be seen. Secondly, also, if you look at the Congress party, the two important faces as of now, Mr. D. Shivkumar and Siddaramaiah, their internal conflicts, how they are going to come up in the next couple of days, that also is going to decide the way, Congress is going to, and also
Congress's internal conflict.
Yeah, and also to notice that Mr. Siddaramaiah, earlier he won by a very thin margin from Badami. But this time he has changed his seat.
I think this is a very interesting point. I'll come to you. A very interesting point that is made.
On that polarization thing.
And then
If the
Mr.
BJP does go the polarization route this time, this will not be the first time it's done it. In every election it has tried. In fact, the BJP's whole rise has been, because of Hindu-Muslim conflict. But look at this. They've tried polarization and Lingayats, the combination. And every time they've never been able to touch the majority
Okay.
mark.
Let me make a very
So,
small-
it works in a small area of Karnataka. It does not work in the rest
Okay,
of
Mr.
it.
Madhavan,
Basically
I'll
along
come
the
to you.
coastal belt.
Mr. Yadav has been waiting for a long time. Mr. M. Nagaraju Yadav, you see my question, this question on leadership. And I want to ask you this question. While on one hand, you may accuse the BJP of not being able to, or there existing a leadership crisis. That who after Bomai? Is Bomai really the leader? Who after Yediyurappa? On the other hand, in your party, is it a case of an embarrassment of the riches?
Not at all. Not at all. Let me tell
Problem
you
of
one
plenty.
thing. No. That is not the issue. We are working out together. We're working as a team. We believe in a collective leadership. 100% we have no difference of leadership opinions in the Karnataka state. That is actually that is the winning point of Congress today. Today, Congress is in 224 constituencies. We have such strong workers in the booth level today. We will defeat the communal forces at any given point of time today. We are the only party to welcome the elections, which has been announced very recently. But BJP was not having guts to face on the election. They thought that another 1 week time, they want to bring Prime Minister for 2 more times. That is not the way at all. They insulted the Prime Minister's chair.
No, you look at your own party. Rahul Gandhi is going
My
to the
party
same
has
Kolar. You know, this is
Yes.
almost...
No.
And
Rahul
that is
Gandhi
how
going
the
back.
election in Karnataka is getting nationalized. He's starting his
No,
campaign
no.
from the very
No,
same
no.
Kolar where the Modi surname battle happened.
No, Sanket, you have mistaken. Rahul
Okay.
Gandhi, last 10 days back, he had come to Belgaum. He started his campaign now. Yuva Shakti program was there. Yuva Kranti program was there. Rahul Gandhi had come and he delivered a speech and gone.
Sure.
We already begun from there. Now the Kolar is an issue because it was in 2019, his speech was being was taken up by BJP MLA, the former Minister of Gujarat, who has filed a defamation case in Surat court. What we are trying to, the same person who had gone to the High Court to stay that order of proceedings of the
Okay,
case.
last 2
That is the
minutes,
rarest
let
of
me
the-
just take quick closing comments.
Let me complete. Let me complete, sir. Let me complete. Karnataka is looking forward for these elections to defeat the communal forces, whether it is in the name of a language or in the name of religion, whatever they're trying to do it, or by bringing the leadership of Amit Shah or Modi, Karnataka will defeat them because the history of Karnataka.
Because
politics is that
we
no
lost
ruling
Veera
party is coming back
while
to
he
power,
was trying to
and the
make his
40%,
point.
40% commission Sarkar
Quick-
will not continue in
Okay,
Karnataka
Mr.
state
Yadav.
because they failed in
Quick
all-
comment from
all
Veera and then
fields
Mr.
they utterly
Madhavan.
failed.
Veera.
Look, I was just mentioning, Sanket, that I think the problem for BJP in terms of the polarization narrative is the absence of a state leader who can actually take all the regions together and take that narrative forward. And till that time, they will have to stick, as as was pointed out, with the old narrative, that is the Lingayat narrative, and then create, look at polarization to. And there are strong Hindutva territories in Karnataka, like coastal Karnataka is a Hindutva hinterland. So whether it spreads across the state would depend on A, the leader, and B, whether they're able to break through into that Vokkaliga bastion.
Okay, yes.
I want to
Mr.
make a point. I want to coin a new term called PQ, polarization quotient. Every state has its own PQ in India, and UP and Gujarat are very high up. And if you notice, it hasn't worked for BJP even in Himachal Pradesh and Rajasthan. Of course. So therefore, it's very important to understand that highly educated, aware populace in states like Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Telangana, here polarization is not so easy. To that extent, the BJP knows this. Mr. Modi always uses, or RSS also, uses it as an entry-level strategy, and then they play the development card and the personality cult card. They know exactly what's going on because they know that polarization has its limits. So in Karnataka, its limits are even more. So we'll be they can't overplay the card and they won't overplay the card.
You remind me of something that a senior leader of the BJP once told me in confidence, but I am breaking that trust. I won't name that leader. He said that BJP is one web portal, its username is development and the password is polarization. So this is how it works election after election. Thank you very much
Without
for joining us.
polarization, They will not win the election.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Yadav, what are you saying?
Without polarization, they can't even get 40 seats in Karnataka state. Karnataka is a more
password is supposed to be kept
development-oriented
secret.
case.
But they also know that the PQ is not high in all states.
All right, thank you very much for joining us. We're stopping for a short break at this moment. 2 exclusive interviews up next. Welcome back. You're watching The Big Fight, and now I would like to introduce Mr. Rakesh Sinha, MP of the Bharatiya Janata Party, to take this discussion forward. Mr. Sinha, you see, Rahul Gandhi's disqualification, do you think you have given a sort of an opportunity to the opposition to come together and campaign against you? I mean, what the opposition itself failed to do to get these different warring factions, this one move has united them.
You know that there is disqualification is based on the court's verdict. It has nothing to do with political vendetta or political party's opinion about the Rahul Gandhi. But as far as disqualification is concerned and the opposition unity is consequential effect, I consider that the basis of opposition unity is to safeguard their corrupt practices. A larger number of opposition parties leaders are involved in the corruption directly and indirectly. And they are afraid of the agencies which are probing and investigating. Therefore, they are uniting to safeguard, and opposition unity is a mask to cover their unethical practices they had done in the past. Therefore, I consider this unity is not going to work in the country because the people understand their intention. They cannot give the country the stable government. They cannot give the country the transparent government, which Prime Minister Modi is giving, and therefore the faith of the people and undiminished popularity of Prime Minister Narendra Modi is unmatched in contemporary Indian politics.
No, you know, the feeling, Mr. Sinha, is that you push the opposition so much, far more for your own comfort zone, that they now feel the need to be together.
You know, this is an unparalleled example in the democratic movement all over the world, that one government is not facing anti-incumbency in first term. In second term also the Prime Minister's popularity is increasing day by day. This government is the government led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. You just see his popularity among the people, the faith of the people in Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. Only because the renouncement he has, he is a Prime Minister, but he is a renounced person. Whatever he is doing for the country, and I think this is one of the reasons that common masses are with Prime Minister Modi ji. One important aspect here, Sanket ji, that this country has witnessed various slogans like socialistic pattern of society 1948, then Congress has given the slogan of democratic socialism 1956, then welfare state in 1970s, and continuous sloganeering about the people's welfare, but nothing could happen. Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has made the common people the stakeholders. The common people, the poor people, are not merely the object of mercy of the Indian government. They are not the stakeholders in the wealth creation and wealth distribution. That is very significant aspect, which is very obvious when 80 crore people are getting food, grains for their food. This is not the mercy on the part of the Indian state. The 11 crore toilets, more than 11 crore toilets, Jan Dhan scheme. So all these things are meant for the common people. Therefore, I consider that this secular polarization of the people on the ground of the development, on the ground of the policies which are meant for the common masses is going to support BJP, and we will get more than what people expect in the next coming election in 2024.
Mr. Sinha, I mean, see, let me frame this question differently. You called, or you as in the Prime Minister, says that the opposition is a coalition of the corrupt, right? Now that has prompted some leaders in the opposition, for instance the Aam Aadmi Party, which has now hit back by saying that the Prime Minister is less educated and the BJP is an association of the uneducated, Anpad ki Jamaat.
I am afraid that Arvind Kejriwal understands what he speaks. In fact, and I am really sorry to use this term, sometimes he becomes an anarchist while he starts attacking the ruling party. In the parliamentary democracy, you cannot shrug off the constitutional position. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is the popular not because of mercy of Arvind Kejriwal, not because of the opposition parties. He is a popular because of his own personality and his policies and perspective for the Indian people. His popularity is not has transcended the limit of geography, and he is equally popular all over the country, all over the world. Therefore, I consider that whatever he speaks, it is a very pathetic and pity, and I feel that Arvind Kejriwal should refrain from using such term for the people holding the constitutional position. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Man Ki Baat, you know, he has expanded the horizon of the Indian Republic. Earlier, just I am giving one example, Padma Awards were given to the people when we were children, we used to consider some people from other world come and get the Padma Award. Elitism was dominating. That's why Kriplani opposed the Padma Award when he was in parliament. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi expanded, and the example is that Lakshmi Kutty from Kerala, barefooted personality, Trinity Sayo from Jaintia is Meghalaya, Radhe Devi from Manipur, such kind of people, common people doing uncommon job. Arvind Kejriwal cannot understand this because he understands only the language of colonial language. He speaks as the Lord Macaulay used to speak about the Indian rulers. I find that Arvind Kejriwal is trying to reflect what colonial rulers used to do for the Indian leaders, that time Congress leaders. That time colonial leaders used to call Congress leaders as gundas. That's why such language as Arvind Kejriwal and opposition parties are using for the BJP. My only appeal to these people is that they should respect the mandate. If you don't respect the mandate, democracy cannot move smoothly in the country.
Mr. Sinha, one question I wanted to ask you, and this has been an allegation by the opposition time and again, on how you have brought in polarization into the Karnataka political discourse. And the one allegation is that you are doing this. The reason why a lot of hijab, halal, azan, Tipu Sultan, all of this is happening in Karnataka so that you do not have to answer any questions related to allegations of 40% corruption. So the corruption allegations that you have, you call the opposition a coalition of the corrupt here at the center, but you are battling the same charges in Karnataka.
You know, everybody knows that there are certain unresolved questions in the society. And these questions have not been being pushed by the Bharatiya Janata Party, they are emerging from the civil society. The question of hijab, this is not limited to India, this is also the question in Islamic countries. We are finding how the people are protesting, women are protesting in Iran. We are finding that how such protests are being organized in Italy and other European countries. Therefore, when these questions are being raised from within the civil society, we should see it constructively. How to create an harmonious society. How to remove all these things which become detrimental for the secular democracy in the country. We should not go back to pre-1947 era. So Bharatiya Janata Party's only objective is to create cultural nationalism, to protect the diversity. We are not, we never divert the people from the real issues. You see the union government, what the Prime Minister is doing. You see the digital India. India is a leading country in the world. People are following the example. Tuberculosis elimination. Prime Minister has given the slogan for tuberculosis elimination. And last point I am telling you, Sanket ji, sanitary napkin. We have the government since 1947. No Prime Minister ever thought about how the common woman, illiterate and the poor woman should have right for the hygiene. And the Prime Minister spoke in 2020 from the Red Fort about the sanitary napkin. Not only he had demolished the taboo, he also ensured that from the Jan Aushadhi Kendra it should reach to the common woman with a cheapest price, symbolic price. This is the governance for the people, and this governance for the people is not respected and not realized by the people who call themselves Aam Aadmi. They are not Aam Aadmi, they are the Vishesh Aadmi who are involved in the corruption. Kejriwal should speak to the nation about the involvement of their own minister in the corruption. They are in jail. Therefore, I think that Bharatiya Janata Party is trying to create a society where that is a corruptionless, transparent society, and whatever we are doing in New Delhi, we will do in the Karnataka.
All right, Mr. Rakesh Sinha, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Also joining us is Congress MP Deepender Hooda. Mr. Hooda, thank you very much. My first question to you is, do you think that this is a big opportunity that has presented itself for the opposition?
See, since you've asked a broader question, let me answer in a broader framework. If you look at what's happening, and not just this particular incident of disqualification of our party leader Rahul Ji, what is happening is anybody in the opposition who's vociferously raising concerns about the crony capitalism, the rampant crony capitalism and corruption and government favoring certain big corporate houses, including the one which has been named by Hindenburg report, namely the Adani Group. Anybody who's raising their voice against the government, bringing out their corruption and asking a probe into their corruption matters, asking for JPC, that particular opposition voice has been targeted. Anybody, whosoever it may be. And the government has, not hesitated in using all sorts of government machinery at its disposal, including their question marks on the role of the investigation agencies. There are even question marks on certain constitutional institutions, the government trying to misuse certain constitutional institutions for serving its own political interests. Now, in such an environment, it is but natural for the opposition to find a common cause, and the utter injustice which has been meted out in the manner in which Rahul Ji has been disqualified over a matter which is, as we all know, is not the disproportionate amount of punishment which has been meted out to him in the 2-year conviction and then leading to a razor quick disqualification. Now all this particular incident has provided that opportunity and for the opposition to come together. So in a way, I think opposition coming together to raise the issue of crony capitalism, asking for a joint parliamentary committee probe into these wheelings and dealings of the government, it's a welcome step, one step forward. It's a welcome step in fight for our nation and a fight for our democracy.
Well, Mr. Hooda, Rahul Gandhi's disqualification and many leaders in the opposition coming together, you making this statement, the point that you are making, it'll all be put to test in an electoral battle when people are convinced. You can be convinced about an idea, but are the people convinced? So that is my next question. Do you feel that you've been able to take this message successfully to the people, and its first test is going to be the Karnataka elections?
No, it is reaching the people. See, I am, as you know, very much a ground, I'm a political worker connected to the ground. There are two things which you can find are a topic of discussion everywhere in the country today, in the countryside, in our cities, towns, villages. First is the manner in which certain corporate houses have been given preferential treatment by this government, namely the one which has been named by the Hindenburg report. So people are talking about the Adani Group and how the from railway to port to airports to defense, how privatization and crony capitalism accompanying that privatization has become the norm in this particular government. That's the first thing, which is a topic of discussion everywhere, including those who have supported BJP in the past. Second, the injustice and the extremely disproportionate amount of punishment which was meted out to our party leader for no apparent big guilt or fault of his. Now that again, whenever there is an injustice which is meted out by such a government, it reminds people of the tyrannical approaches, and I think that again has found resonance amongst the people. So these two things, I can tell you for a fact, have found resonance amongst the people of this country. And you talked about the opposition unity. I think not just the opposition have found a common cause. But I think the people of this country also want to see a united opposition.
Mr. Hooda, why aren't you appealing against this decision of the court in a higher court? Because this has also now become a political matter of discourse. That you think it is very comfortable for you right now to keep this pot boiling, political pot boiling. Rahul Gandhi has been wronged, and get everyone together and not exercise a legal recourse.
No, we will. Of course, we will appeal in the court. That option within the judiciary framework is available to us, and we will avail of that. But now you talk about, we utilizing this opportunity for our political ends. You look at what has happened. What has happened, the chronology of this particular case will reveal the real intent of the government. See, the actual, incident on which Rahul ji has been convicted by this lower court, he gave a speech in 2019 April. In April 2019, a BJP MLA in Gujarat, he filed a complaint and the case started. Then in 2022, this particular MLA went to the Gujarat High Court and himself sought a stay on his own proceedings in that particular matter in the lower court, and the court provided that. Then in February 2023, this year February 7th, Rahul ji raised the bogey of corruption charges against this government on the floor of the House. Immediately after that, this is February 7th, February 16th, the same Gujarat BJP person, he went again to the High Court and said now the proceedings be restarted. Within less than 10 days of that speech, again the proceedings were started, which were halted for the last almost more than 1 year. They were again reopened. And in a matter of 1 month, the court announced the conviction order, and by the way, and matter of less than 24 hours, Speaker of Lok Sabha proceeded to disqualify Rahul ji. I have heard that the prestigious project of this government is to construct a bullet train from Ahmedabad to Mumbai. But we did not know there is a super bullet train which was also being constructed from Surat to Delhi. I mean, a matter of overnight, that order reached the Lok Sabha Secretariat, and the Lok Sabha Speaker proceeded. There are so many orders, court orders. There is a court order recently which the Delhi High Court passed, that the government should provide old pension scheme to the paramilitary forces on the same pattern as the government is providing to the Army, Air Force and Navy. 3 months have passed by, that order has not reached from Delhi High Court to the Central Secretariat. 3 months. But here, matter of minutes, the order reached. So the chronology and the haste and the manner in which the government has acted has revealed the real intention of the government, and the real intention is very clear. They want to silence any voice which raises the issues related to the crony capitalism, the corruption charges, and seeks an investigation against this government. Now you tell me, is it not in national interest? If there are certain serious corruption charges which have been alleged, it is not in national interest to have a fair investigation into those matters?
My final question, the Congress party also faces allegations of trying to seek intervention by foreign countries. Most recently, Digvijay Singh thanking Germany for their comment and commentary. And leader after leader of the Bharatiya Janata Party says that this is exactly what we were talking about, that the Congress party wants foreign intervention in domestic matters.
Let me say, now you look at what has happened. Since February 7th, when Rahul ji made that speech on the floor of the House and the opposition started demanding for a joint parliamentary committee probe into allegations of corruption of this government, what has happened after that? Now, one is this disqualification, number one. Number two, they attacked Rahul ji for making a speech on or a statement in London or Britain where they alleged that Rahul ji has sought help from foreign countries, where on the contrary, Rahulji was very categorically clear in saying that these are all our internal matters and we will have to sort them out internally. He had said it very clearly. But the first attack was, oh, you spoke on the foreign soil and now you have to apologize. Second attack was disqualification. Third attack was on that OBC. Certainly now the OBC issue has come up. Now BJP has to decide which is the issue on which they are taking us on. Now since we raised the demand for a joint parliamentary committee probe into a fair investigation into corruption allegations against the BJP government, as laid out by the bare facts of the Hindenburg report, BJP favoring one particular corporate house, their state governments favoring one particular corporate house, it is a just and fair demand for any opposition to demand an inquiry. Now, okay, you don't agree with that, but you are trying to silence us. But what is the issue that you are choosing to target us on? You decide whether it's OBC, whether it's spoken on the foreign soil, whether it's disqualification. I mean, BJP has to be clear, and we will answer on that particular issue. But the intention is brought out by these attacks. That question is not about the issue. They just want to silence our voice and they just want to attack us.
All right, Mr. Deepender Hooda, thank you very much for joining us. With that, we come to the end of this edition of The Big Fight. News continues on the other side. Thanks for watching.